I mean, I wanted to ask you about
My nipple?
what happened on First Take the other day with Kendrick Perkins and JJ Redick and ESPN issuing an apology on behalf of Kendrick Perkins, but not Kendrick Perkins issuing the apology.
Yes.
Kendrick Perkins, in talking about Jokic, was implying, and more than implying, that there is racism involved in his winning 2 consecutive MVPs and headed toward a third. He said the panel of voters is all white guys, and ESPN had to issue an apology in which it told people, nah, we got the numbers all wrong. Again, Kendrick Perkins not delivering that apology. The thing that I wanted to ask you, immediately, this was seized on by the predictable people, Shitstain, Dan Dockich, turning it into, here's ESPN again talking about black issues and, in their opinion, talking about them poorly. And the thing that I wanted to ask you about, because Kendrick Perkins, while colorful and good on television, is not, after George Floyd, who it is that I want, speaking on behalf of the center of my company and a centerpiece of that company, as Stephen A. Smith sits off to the side physically on something that got a ton of activity on the internet, Stugotz, because this stuff sells. Taking sides, you basically got 2 different medias in this country right now, feeding 2 different audiences. It's not one media anymore, and a lot of people will watch if you have that racial division and tension. And so Stephen A. Smith is sitting to the side of this thing that he has spawned, which is imitators. JJ Redick and Kendrick Perkins are given the floor on his show, and right next to him have a pretty empty, meaningless, useless race discussion. Like, useless. Insulting that would pass for television, but Sparks is enough. Sparks will do. And I'm just curious, I mean, outside of the funny of First Take will make you laugh all the time, do you care that this stuff is weaponized? And explain to me why ESPN, Stugotz, gets hit with woke when there wasn't room for us there, and the people who did that loudest aren't there anymore or are minimized. Like the people, Bomani, you don't see him anywhere. Jamel Hill's not there. We're not there. Like there aren't the platforms for that there anymore.
Yes. I know the question was posed to you, but if you want a hot tag, I'll take a stab at it.
Well, I think it was Amin. He shifted to me midway through. I think the question was for Amin, but you can have it, Mike.
Let me go, because it's an easy talking point for the right.
Tag him.
It doesn't matter if it's actually real. It doesn't.
There you go.
It doesn't actually matter if it's real. They traffic in this. They quite literally traffic in this. I don't recommend you do this for your mental health, but if for whatever reason you're on the Breitbart Instagram page, look at how many of their Instagram tiles are just Megan Rapinoe. It's just, there are certain triggers and grifts that work. And ESPN is woke. They want to make you feel bad about your beliefs. They're part of this liberal agenda. Like, it's just lazy. It's lazy. So,
but it works.
Yes. And that's why they keep doing it, to answer your question.
Laziness works, Dan.
You're tagged back in.
You feel like laziness at television works for ratings? Because I don't think
in general,
I don't think that's an eternal truth.
It's bullshit that any decent opinion that considers people's feelings is considered woke. It's bullshit that any conversation about race is considered woke. I hate that word because it's just been totally co-opted, the way that fake news was co-opted, because fake news wasn't that's false. Fake news was a problem that we had on the internet with people getting tricked by actual fake news stories, and now they totally twisted the meaning. It's just the grift, man. It's just the grift. ESPN bad. Liberal agenda bad. We're not ESPN. They're literally trafficking in it because they're trying to present another side. So they have to prop up that they're renegades.
All right, but assuming it's not quite lazy and assuming it's more sinister than that and orchestrated, how do you find the facts that support your argument that ESPN is behaving too woke? Is it just that minorities are on television?
Yeah, Dan, yeah.
Like that? Is that
Dan,
it?
Dan, you said, how do you find the facts? Facts?
Facts never matter, man.
The hell of facts? What are you talking about?
Facts
Facts?
don't matter.
You trying to send a paper to someone in 1995? What facts are you
But
talking about?
I'm asking you, if you're of this opinion that you're influenced, that it's not confirmation bias, that you have the opinion and then you hear it reinforced by shit stain.
It really is cute to watch you try to find the logic in this.
Dude, it's not that hard. It's again, Occam's razor.
Exactly, Hockman's razor.
They're doing it because they know their base has trigger words. Megan Rapinoe, like black people, race, like so. It doesn't. They don't have to. It's like there's a Family Guy
Disney.
episode. There's a Family Guy episode where Lois is running for mayor, and she's giving like these thoughtful answers to questions at the town hall meeting, and the crowd is like, I don't know, I don't get it. I want to have a beer with her. And Brian is her campaign manager. He tells her, look, these are stupid voters. Just keep it simple. And so she gets up and says, hey, what are you going to do about the water supply, the effective water supply? 9/11. Oh, yeah. Everyone's like, yeah. And her answer to every question is 9/11.
Yeah.
And she wins the election.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And it didn't work out, but this was Herschel Walker's campaign strategy.
Yeah. Like it's not hard to...
Yeah, what logic is this? I don't know. Let's bring God back into these things, and I'm here to protect children's lives. Like the Herschel Walker experience was a fever dream of hypocrisy.
You live in Ron DeSantis' Florida. Like this is every day. Everything like the things they declare war on is like it's not hard. It's like, what are things that like liberals seem to be about, or that our people think liberals are about?
It's a South Park episode from 15 years ago. They took our derbs.
And so there's no reason to parse the terrain of what are you seeing when
I'll
you
parse
look
it with
at
smart
your
people.
television.
I'll parse it with people who are well-intentioned and want to actually engage in a discourse, and who I feel like I have a modicum chance, a slight sliver of hope that I may be able to engage in conversation and change their mind, or at least shine a light on their hypocrisy to the point that they become slightly self-aware. I do not have that with certain folks, and that grift I do not.
I would say it's not even that, Mike, whether you can change their mind or not, as we see with the all the Fox stuff. We talked about it with Brian Stelter, right? Like, they don't believe it either. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
No, they don't. Tucker Carlson just got caught off mic saying how much he passionately hates Donald Trump. This is the grift.
But that's the point. Like, they don't, you're like, oh, if I could change their mind. There's no mind to change. They know what they're doing. They don't believe it. The bigger conversation, Dan, is where the danger actually resides. It's not that these people are just playing the same tune to make their people dance to. It's that there is a conversation to be had about ESPN and a race conversation that was done incredibly poorly. But the problem is, when we sit here and criticize it, the same assholes from the other side are gonna be like, yeah, see, even Le Batard and them think you guys are woke. And that's not what we're saying. We're saying that was a bad version, and that's done because, it's funny you said, isn't that lazy? And I was thinking, it's lazy is what they did on First Take. That's what's lazy.
We're ringing the dinner bell for them right now. It's just they'll co-opt this. They'll make an easy argument out of this, and they'll feel attacked, and they'll make themselves a victim as somehow white wealthy people are the victims now. It's just, it's just dumb.
Isn't Kendrick Perkins there? Isn't he there to sit in the middle of all of that and simply say things that Kendrick Perkins, it's not his expertise on basketball that people are looking for, correct?
That's a job description initially.
But here's the thing.
He's a character.
Here's the like. There's another there's another layer to all of this. So ESPN hires former athletes not because they know the game better than anybody else. Some of them do. But the main reason you hire a former athlete, beyond like the name brand recognition that they come in with, is that you're wanting to know what players think. Like, honestly, this is not a criticism. I agree with it. Like, I want the player perspective. When Paul Pierce sat there on Countdown and said, if I played with Shaq and LeBron, I'd have as many rings as Dwayne Wade. Like, I'm just as good as Dwayne Wade. Everyone went crazy. Oh, how could Paul Pierce say that? And I'm saying, You don't know how many NBA players feel exactly like that. I know these guys. That's how they think. They think, yeah, Dwayne Wade's good, but like, come on, give me a break. He's not that good. I play with LeBron. There are a ton of players who don't have a fraction of the career that Paul Pierce had who think like that. So when Paul Pierce gets up there and says that, I'm saying, guys, this is how they think. You guys are like, oh, you're so dumb, Paul. But the reality is he's telling you from a player's perspective. What Kendrick Perkins said, reckless, incorrect, all that stuff. But there were a shit ton of players who think like that, man. Like, that's not an out there opinion. And that's the only reason why Kendrick's there, because he says out there opinions. He says things that a lot of players think, but either don't have the platform or the proclivity to say out loud.